You may have seen this before. A small mint plant sits in a pot, thin and quiet. A few leaves here and there. It looks like it is trying but not really growing. Then just a few weeks later you notice another pot nearby. Full. Soft green leaves spilling over the edges. Thick stems. It almost looks like a different plant. This kind of change can feel confusing. The same plant, the same home, but very different results over time. Many gardeners notice this pattern. Mint often starts fast, then slows down and sometimes fades away. But there is something important to understand here. This is not a sign that you did something wrong. It is simply how mint behaves. Gardeners who have grown mint for many years often notice the same cycle again and again. When the plant is treated like other herbs, it struggles. When it is understood on its own terms, it becomes steady and generous. And there is a way to help it keep growing without pushing it too hard. Before explaining why this worked, it helps to understand how mint really grows. Most herbs grow upward. You plant them and they reach toward the light. You see new leaves forming at the top, and over time the plant becomes taller and fuller. Mint does something different. It does grow upward, but that is not its main habit. Under the soil, mint spreads quietly. Its roots move sideways, sending out small runners that form new stems. So even when the top looks still, something is happening below. The plant is preparing to grow in a wider space, not just a taller one. This is why mint can suddenly fill a pot or a garden bed. It is not growing faster in the usual way. It is spreading. Once you see this, many small things start to make sense. A plant that looks slow may just be building its network under the soil. A plant that suddenly looks full is often the result of that hidden work. And this is also why mint can seem to stop growing. When its roots run out of space or become crowded, the plant has nowhere to spread. So the top growth slows down too. Understanding this one idea changes how you care for mint. You stop focusing only on what you see above the soil, and you begin to think about the space below. This is where containers become helpful. In open ground, mint can spread freely. In some cases, it spreads so much that it takes over other plants. That may sound like a good thing at first, but it can become difficult to manage. In a container, something different happens. The roots are gently guided. They have space but not too much. This balance helps the plant stay active without becoming wild. When the roots reach the edges of the pot, they begin to circle and fill the space. This encourages more shoots to rise above the soil. So instead of one tall plant, you get many smaller stems working together. This often leads to a fuller, healthier look. For many home gardeners, especially those working in smaller spaces, containers make mint easier to care for. You can move the pot if needed. You can observe it closely. And you can keep the growth steady without it spreading too far. It also reduces the need for constant correction. The plant stays where you place it, and that brings a sense of calm to the process. Once the idea of controlled roots becomes clear, the next step is simply choosing a pot that supports this quiet growth. The pot does not need to be complicated. What matters is giving the roots enough room to spread without feeling trapped too soon. A pot that is too small can limit the plant early. A pot that is too large may hold too much water and slow things down. So a medium-sized container often works well. Something that allows the plant to settle and expand at a gentle pace. Drainage also plays a quiet but important role. When water cannot move out of the pot, the soil stays heavy. Roots prefer air as well as moisture. So a pot with holes at the bottom helps keep that balance. Placement is just as simple. Mint enjoys light, but it does not always need strong, direct sun all day. A spot with soft morning light or partial sun often feels comfortable for the plant. If the sun is too strong for too many hours, especially in warmer regions, the leaves may become dry or stressed. In cooler areas, a bit more sunlight can support steady growth. There is no need to search for a perfect place. A calm, bright spot where the plant can rest without harsh conditions is often enough. Watering is where many people begin to feel unsure. It is easy to think more water will help the plant grow faster. But mint prefers a steady rhythm rather than sudden changes. The soil should feel lightly moist, not wet and not dry. When the top layer begins to feel dry to the touch, that is often a gentle sign that it is time to water again. If the soil stays wet for too long, the roots may slow down. If it becomes too dry again and again, the plant may struggle to stay active. So instead of following a strict schedule, it helps to observe. A quick touch of the soil. A glance at the leaves. These small checks often give enough information. This approach removes pressure. There is no need to rush or to water every day. The plant will show you what it needs quietly. And over time, this simple rhythm becomes natural. As the plant settles into this balance, something important begins to happen. New stems appear. Leaves become more frequent. The pot starts to look fuller. This is where harvesting plays a role. It may feel like cutting the plant will reduce its growth. But with mint, gentle trimming often encourages more growth instead. When you remove the top part of a stem, the plant responds by sending out new shoots from lower points. This creates a fuller shape over time. The key is to cut lightly and thoughtfully. Not too much at once. Just enough to allow the plant to renew itself. You may notice that after a small trim, new leaves begin to form within days. This is the plant adjusting and continuing its natural cycle. It is not about forcing growth. It is about guiding it. And as you become familiar with this pattern, harvesting becomes less of a task and more of a quiet routine. From here it becomes clear that one mint plant is rarely just one plant. Because of how it spreads, it can be gently divided or shared. A small section with roots can grow into a new plant. A simple cutting placed in water can begin to form roots of its own. This process does not need to be rushed. It can happen slowly at your comfort level. Over time, one pot can become 2, then 3, without the need to buy more. This is where the idea of unlimited mint begins to feel realistic. Not all at once but gradually. Each new plant follows the same calm pattern. It settles, spreads, and grows in its own time. And this quiet expansion can continue for many seasons. Of course, the environment around the plant also plays a part. In warmer climates, mint may grow more quickly, but it can also feel stress from strong heat. Leaves may wilt in the afternoon sun. In these cases, a bit of shade during the hottest part of the day can help. In cooler climates, growth may slow during colder months. This is natural. The plant is resting, not failing. During these slower times, there is no need to push it. Watering can be reduced slightly. Trimming can be gentle or paused. Then, when the weather becomes milder again, the plant often returns with fresh energy. Understanding these seasonal changes removes worry. Growth is not always constant, and that is perfectly fine. There are also a few small habits that can quietly limit the plant without being obvious. If the pot becomes too crowded over time, the roots may need a bit more space. If trimming is avoided completely, the plant may become tall and thin instead of full. If watering changes too often, the plant may take longer to settle. These are not mistakes to feel concerned about. They are simply small adjustments that can be made when noticed. Gardening, especially with mint, is often about noticing rather than correcting. A small change, made calmly, can bring the plant back into balance. In the end, caring for mint does not need to be complicated. A simple routine often works best. A quick look at the plant once or twice a week. A gentle touch of the soil. A small trim when the stems grow longer. Nothing rushed. Nothing forced. If you feel like sharing, you might notice how your mint is growing in your space. Whether it is on a windowsill, a balcony, or a small garden corner, each setting brings its own rhythm. And sometimes, hearing how others care for their plants can bring quiet reassurance. Over time, you may begin to see the pattern more clearly. The plant grows when given space. It renews when gently trimmed. It rests when it needs to. And through all of this, it asks for less than we often expect. With mint, the goal is not to do more. It is to understand more. And when that happens, growth becomes steady, simple, and surprisingly generous. Do less. Get more.